Yeah, that one went viral on TikTok. That got 8 million views. One of the reasons I've been able to grow on my platform is because I take a lot of inspiration from different forms of media. I either put my own spin on it or I recreate the characters because there's just something fun about being able to transform into another person in a sense. Like if I get 100 hate comments, I get 1,000 positive ones.
When we start reading the ones that are so hateful, so negative, it just obliterates all the other positive ones.
I just did it because it felt right, it felt relatable, and I was just shocked by the hundreds of comments I was getting from people saying I relate to this.
Welcome back to another episode on Hit and Record. This episode is going to be called A Creative Spotlight on Amanda Marie. This episode, we're just going to be diving right into her journey into makeup, and we're going to share some tips and tricks about makeup techniques, whatever she wants to share with you guys. This episode is going to be jam-packed with cool stuff, especially for you all aspiring makeup artists out there. This is going to be an episode that you're going to want to listen to, especially when you're just starting out. My name is Kino Manuel. I'm your host on Hit and Record, and this is
Amanda Marie, also known as Amanda MUA.
Yes, you can find her on the Instagram. It's
Amanda period Marie, and the A is a 4. Remember that. Amanda period Marie, A is a 4. I feel like
you can find her on TikTok. You'll notice her. Now, this is gonna be a little bit of a impromptu because I'm about to grab my laptop. She's gonna read out the questions off her phone. It's gonna be it's gonna be like a chill kind of an episode. We're just gonna relax, just talk about her stuff, and we're gonna get right into this.
Everyone,
You ready?
sit back and relax. Get your popcorn, your drinks, whatever you're in the mood for, okay?
Yes.
Yes. I've been told I'm really good at ASMR as well.
Yes. All right, so let's start with your background. So, according to ChatGPT, it says, "How did you get started in the world of makeup artistry and beauty content creation, and how has your journey evolved over the years?" Wow.
Wow, loaded
Yeah.
question. I started wearing makeup, I would say, probably like when I started high school. It was like I had just moved to the US from Turkey, and I was like, you know what? I moved to a new country. I'm starting high school because everyone hypes it up. I was like, you know what? I need a fresh start. So I started wearing a bit of makeup, started dabbling, nothing crazy. And then over time, I started doing makeup looks for Halloween just because I've always been like a really creative person. I've always loved going to art class, painting, drawing, that kind of thing. And about I want to say around like when I hit college, I started doing it more. And then of course, like a lot of creative people, COVID impacted us.
Yes,
Hmm.
that was such a. It was a year that changed a lot of our lives. It was a period of time where we felt like our life was stuck, and so I'm sure a lot of us may have had our creative spark start from there because when you're stuck inside, you're gonna start thinking about ideas. And so, long story short, what I'm trying to say, it was such an eventful time for all of us.
It was. I
Yeah.
had like a complete. I was like when COVID happened, the month it happened, that's when I was graduating with my AA. So it was like that point in my education where I had to really decide what I wanted to do with my career. And with this stuff happening, I was like, wait, I don't know if I want to go in the medical field with everything going on. And I had all this free time to start practicing makeup. It was no longer a special occasion thing of, oh, I'll just do it once a year on Halloween. It was, wait, I have time to do any kind of makeup look I wanted. So I started posting on TikTok around that time. So been about almost 3 years now.
Wow. Wow, that's a long time actually. It's pretty cool to see how far she's come, and especially now, yo, like I said, it's gonna be a banger episode with a lot of awesome information. But I gotta say, with the journey that you've gone with where you are now, what are you looking forward to after that? Like within a year or two?
Ooh, within a year or two, I would say I definitely want to keep growing my social platform. I'd love to be able to start posting more on other platforms because like any social platform, TikTok is not gonna last forever.
Mm.
So I want to make sure I continue to adapt and grow. Probably start posting more on YouTube. Also would love to be able to like expand my clientele
Mm.
and possibly go to makeup school as well. Get brush up on some knowledge on SFX, things like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Cool. We're gonna get those in a bit. All right. Moving on to the next section. It's creative process. Wow.
Wow.
Okay, creative process. So, whenever you do your makeup,
Uh-huh.
I'm just like film. We have a pre-production stage where we plan out the location, the shots. Now, what's
Hmm.
the equivalent of that for makeup? Because according to
Hmm.
the question here, it wants me to ask you to see if you can walk us through your creative process when
um,
planning and creating makeup looks and or
mm,
content.
yeah. Lots of Pinterest.
Okay,
Pinterest
Pinterest.
all
And why
day.
Pinterest?
Oh, it's just the perfect like platform to be able to look up any sort. It's like Google, but
Mm.
it's except you don't see all the stock images. You just get the pretty aesthetic stuff that you want to see. I also take a lot of inspiration from some of my mutuals on TikTok, Instagram. Um, One of the reasons like I've been able to grow on my platform is because I take a lot of inspiration from different forms of media.
Okay.
So, example being my first video that ever went viral, it was I recreated a look from that Netflix show Glow Up, which is like it goes into also I love to cosplay as well. I always grew up loving things like anime. I was just like I don't want to be like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so nerdy." But like
Hmm.
I enjoyed a good amount of like of the fantastical of like the out of this world kind of stuff and the creepy. I love Tim Burton.
Actually, gonna give us the audience a perfect example as far as like artists. It doesn't even have to be the makeup industry. It could be like a well-known artist like Taylor Swift,
Mhm.
um, Melanie Martinez.
Yep, I
There you
do.
go.
I take a lot of inspiration from different artists. It doesn't even have to be in the makeup industry like Melanie Martinez.
Okay.
I love the combination of sort of having cute and creepy coexist.
Oh, okay.
I really like that. Some like other people I love when Euphoria came out.
That show, my goodness, I love the colors with the purple
Mhm.
and the way they use the. I noticed this specifically with the eyeshadow. I might be getting my makeup terms wrong, so for you makeup people, don't kill me on this. It's the one that's like sparkles underneath the eye. It's kind of like what you have right now. And especially I saw that on Rue. It's just it's such a phenomenal show. You should watch it. But continue on.
Absolutely. Yeah, I started finding out about some of the makeup artists involved in Euphoria, like Donnie Davy, and then I found out about Petra Collins, who was
Mm,
involved in that project. It's just really like taking inspiration from music, movie, shows, and just kind of like I either put my own spin on it or I recreate the characters because just there's just something fun about being able to transform into another person in a
mm.
sense.
Wow, wow. Has there been a makeup look that you've always been proud of?
Oh,
I'm sure
that's
there's a
my
lot, but there's got to be one.
come on, that's my whole portfolio, man. One that I okay, I will say that cake face look we did.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, again, we're going to throw up an image up here. And for those listening to the podcast, a cake face literally describe it for the people that are
It's
listening on the podcast.
yeah, there's going to be so many people who are confused. It's I have face paint on my face that's sort of like in a mask shape.
Yeah.
However, there's I use little dollops of air dried clay to make it look like frosting.
Okay.
And I glue that on my face so it kind of it's so weird to describe to anyone who hasn't seen it, but pretty much it's literally putting like if you put a cake on my face. Like
Mm,
I have the little sprinkles, the little icing bits, things like that.
and
Candles.
candles. There we go.
That's a big topic.
Um, we got her hair off fire. Almost, actually.
Down the hall.
Yeah, but you know what? That video, it was on TikTok, I believe, or Instagram. It went
Both.
viral.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was like yeah, that one went viral on TikTok. That got 8 million views. And then Instagram, that was like That was the first time a video of mine went viral on Instagram. Cause like with TikTok, I had a couple of videos that went viral before. However, with Instagram, that was like a platform I hadn't fully like grasped yet.
Hmm.
I post that on Instagram and it ends up being, I think, 2 million views, which that's still mind
Damn, we got
blowing.
her. We got this girl boasting her for you viewership. Wow, wow. That's. I think I'm sure a lot of you are now wondering how you can replicate that exact result. But hold on to your seats. We'll get there shortly. We just need to go through the chat GPT questions. How do you go about your creative process when you're working with other creatives? Like, let's say a filmmaker, or a photographer. Now, how does that look like when you guys are collaborating?
It's a similar process. However, you do kind of have to keep
Okay.
in mind the other person and what they want particularly. So for a filmmaker, it's like if a director said I want someone who looks like they just got stabbed in the arm. If it's a sudden motion, there's going to be a large splatter of blood
Okay.
versus if someone gets cut with a knife. And there's also timeline. Did this happen recently or did this happen a couple days ago?
Hmm.
Because like I think most of us can say we've all gotten like a little scrape on the knee, a little
Yeah.
cut,
Yeah.
and we see how it heals over time. It starts to turn purple, a little yellow. That's something we have to keep in mind whenever we're working with directors and we do any sort of horror makeup. We have to keep in mind, okay, like what's the severity of the injury, how old is it, things like that. Like down to the color of the blood, how dark it is can make a huge impact of accuracy.
So it sounds like a lot of body anatomy is needed, like knowledge
Mhm.
and at least how the skin works. Is it
Yeah.
sounds like you need a lot of that.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, you often have to like if you're going into that industry where you want to work with like special effects and horror, you have to look up images online of some of these
So
injuries.
basically, be like Criminal Minds.
Yeah, pretty
Wow.
much.
Okay. Is there what with that special effects? I would imagine there's a lot of people that will make common mistakes.
It
Oh,
depends on the
yikes.
speed of the knife. It depends on where in the body you're
Yeah.
going. Yeah, like cool thing like in movies like they'll literally like they'll do the frame where someone stabs and then
Yeah.
there'll be someone like literally like has like a spray bottle or like a spray bag
Hmm.
or just spurts out. Yeah.
Oh, actually, there's a method. For example,
Mhm,
going back to the show Euphoria.
mhm,
Now it's not exactly as like a bloody, gory scene, but do you
mhm.
remember the scene where Cassie was in the pool?
Yeah.
Okay, in the behind the scenes, it's actually not a real puke. They actually have this it's a bag that's embedded in behind her mouth, and she would either have to bite on it or put some pressure on it to
Mhm.
actually imitate a real puke. But what actually happened was instead of going out, it went in down her
Yeah.
throat, which made her worry about puking real vomit. So
Oh.
that's what we're referring to in the movie industry, where if you want to imitate real life blood splatter, we often have like tiny bags that are embedded in within the skin or anything like that. It's
Mhm.
like that's how you get that
Yeah.
real as close to a true to life blood splatter. Am I off
Yeah,
here
you're
or
yeah, you're right.
something?
It's
Okay.
similar to that, yeah.
Okay, cool. All right,
Yeah.
wow. Like I said, like she said, I'm sorry, this is gory, guys. This was not the intention at all. The
Yes.
intention was to dive into her history, but not go into the gory details. I promise y'all, we're not serial killers or anything like that. As you mentioned, how you've been able to gain such a huge number of viewership, which is pretty amazing. I gotta imagine that's also a bit life changing when it comes to building an online presence and as an influencer in this beauty industry. How do you navigate the fine line between promoting products and addressing the issues related to overconsumption and sustainability? Wow, that is a hell of a question.
One thing I kind of realized, so for context, when I started doing makeup, this was around 2015, 2016. For all my girlies who loved watching beauty YouTube around that time
Yeah.
period, I'm not so for context, I am not kidding. A lot of these beauty YouTubers, makeup artists, sometimes they would do like a little makeup vanity tour.
Hmm.
They open up a drawer and it's like 20 blushes.
Oh wow.
like 20 foundations, 20 concealers, all for one person.
Whoa.
Like, you know those IKEA drawers where it's like kind
Yeah.
of stacked on top of each other?
Yeah.
Those would be filled with makeup.
Oh, wow.
And it was
That's
sort of like promoted as like, oh, this is just like the normal thing. Yeah, just like, oh yeah, it's normal. I have like 15 eyeshadow palettes.
so. It sounds like a unhealthy balance between having what you actually need
Mhm.
versus. It sounds like product placement at that
Over
point.
consumerism.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I actually think that's kind of happening right now
Okay.
with skincare.
Really?
Yeah, because I think what happened was when COVID happened, people were like, oh, I don't really need to wear much makeup because I got a mask on.
Yeah.
I'm just like, focus on taking care of my skin.
Okay.
And then now we're seeing 15-step skincare routines. We're seeing drawers of skincare. Anti-aging products are getting recommended to like teenagers.
So
Like,
it sounds like there's as an influencer, it's starting to become difficult to navigate that kind of
mhm,
world of overconsumption, especially product placement, where
mhm.
you don't even know if that product's actually good for people. Now, how does that
Yeah.
relate to you as an influencer, though?
Mhm. Yeah, it's because one thing I noticed just like as like a viewer, when you're scrolling through TikTok and let's say you want to purchase a foundation
Okay.
and you go on TikTok, you search up foundations for oily skin.
Okay.
Guarantee a majority of those videos are sponsored.
Hmm.
And you can't
I
even
wouldn't be
tell
surprised.
unless you look at the fine print.
Hmm. I guess the lesson here, guys, is as a makeup artist, I think, is to just choose the product that you actually enjoy and know that the audience that you have behind you, behind your brand, is going to actually enjoy it. Don't just sell out 50 brands
Yeah,
just for the sake of promoting that.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. Like, there's so many influencers out there who, like, if they get like offered to like promote something for a lot of money, they'll just take it. Which I get. It's tempting. However, I don't know. Just like for me, I've always had this mindset. Just because like I know what it feels like to be a viewer and just to get annoyed when you see sponsored
Mm,
post after sponsored
mm,
post after sponsored post is just like if I get contacted by a brand, I I'm only going to work with them if I genuinely like the product.
okay.
If I've tried the product already, or I'll often tell brands, I'll be like, okay, I'll consider it. However, I want like a PR package at least so I can like have an idea of what it's like because I don't want to promote something and then for someone to be like, I didn't like this. It's like, you know what I mean? I want to be proud of like what I'm promoting.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's like the same thing with in film. Whenever
Mhm.
we present something, we always have to be conscious on whether it's a smart move to present something because sometimes a lot of people, you know that saying where you can always satisfy
Mhm.
everyone.
Mhm.
Just try to be careful. Try to basically just try to keep everything at a limit, and especially when selling stuff.
Mhm.
You don't want, in the future, like imagine this. 50 years from now, everything on the screen, everywhere at the mirror, it's all gonna be plastered with ads. You're not gonna be wanting to buy anything after that point. It's like Black Mirror already.
Do I just
Yeah.
picture
What?
Imagine a mirror and it sees your dark circles and it's like, we recommend this eye cream.
Oh, oh,
Oh,
that mirror's gonna be shattered real quick.
yo.
But yeah, I guess that's literally gonna happen. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, with AI
Mhm,
coming up,
mhm,
bro, imagine that scenario, but the AI is actually talking to you. You know how offensive that would be?
mhm.
My goodness.
But yeah, main point if you're an influencer, just as cheesy as this is, be authentic.
Yeah.
Promote stuff that
Mm.
like fits your niche that you genuinely like. And from a consumer point of view, do your research. I mean, I say this, whenever anyone spends money on anything, just like do your research and think to yourself, do I really need another bronzer when I already have four? Probably don't. Just let it rest in your cart for a couple weeks. It's not going anywhere.
And also on top of that, the reputation is everything. It's everything. It doesn't matter if you have talent or not. If you have good, strong reputation, that's gonna bring you almost to every other opportunity out there. When
Mhm.
clients, when Other creatives know your reputation by heart, and when it's a good one, then they'll be more than likely to work with you. Versus someone with a bad reputation, we all
Mhm.
know how that's gonna go. It's just like you're gonna be more of like a walking red flag at that point. But always protect your reputation as a filmmaker, photographer, makeup artist, any creatives really. Your reputation is the one most important thing that you should always protect. Now about the filmmaker side though, protect your equipment first before you go into reputation. So okay, wow, that was a loaded question. Thank you for answering that. So, how do you strike a balance between creating content that resonates with your audience and staying true to your unique style and values? And especially in the age of social media where being going viral is often the highest priority, how do you maintain authenticity in your content? To summarize it up, basically, how do you make your personal brand as authentic as possible and staying true to your style? While you're in the sea of many millions of content creators out there, and especially as a makeup artist, tell us what is the secret behind that for makeup
Okay.
artists.
The secret formula is
Okay.
okay, there's really no secret formula.
Okay.
It's just I don't know, it's never really been a huge issue for me. It's just what I typically do if I'm deciding what sounds I want to use, what makeup looks I want to do. I kind of I keep up with trends
Okay.
and I keep a log of like okay, what's getting popular, what has a potential to grow, and I just pick and choose which ones I like. If I posted every single time there was like a new trendy thing, I'd be posting every day.
Mm.
But realistically, I don't no person is going to like every single thing that's trending and no person's going to have time to film every single day. So I keep track of like what's going on social media and what's popular, but I only pick and choose the things that I like. And that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Hmm. What about the authenticity part? Because y- I don't know. It's like sometimes I can imagine as having a personal brand, it's gonna be hard to genuinely come across authentic when you're still also promoting something.
Hmm.
Authenticity. That's the one and last time I'm gonna say that word. How do you go about that? Even if you sell the products that you like, you will always have a large audience that will
Hmm.
be still skeptical whether
Hmm.
you're being authentic to your brand when it
Hmm.
comes to promoting stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes sense. And hey, at the end of the day, I know I'm being authentic and I don't need to prove that to other people. I just have to prove that by the content I post. So, okay, example.
Hmm.
One of my most recent collaborations with halloweencostume.com. By the way, you should use my discount code if this is being posted before
Okay.
Halloween. But my point is, so when they hit me up, they were like, "Hey, we like you promote our costumes. You get to pick them though." And I just picked the ones that I like the most, and that was that really.
Hmm.
Like I mean, I don't know, it's just I do what I like. I the makeup looks I enjoy and I kind of just like hope that I can reach people that like what I do. Yeah.
Okay. To be fair, I've never experienced being sponsored by something so for film. What was one of your makeup looks that went viral, and how was it like watching the numbers go up? And just, I want to know what that experience is like.
Ooh, okay. You know what? Okay, I got two parts to
Okay.
those questions you asked.
Yeah.
So first video that went viral was the that as I mentioned earlier, the glow up. You saw the image earlier.
Mm-hmm.
That one it cuz okay, the reason I did that makeup look was cuz the contestant on Glow Up Sophie, she has autism like I do, and the whole makeup look was about masking. And in the caption I had like mental effects that masking has on an autistic person while doing the makeup. And it was never this huge statement or anything like that. It wasn't like, oh yeah, I'm gonna like emotionally impact so many people when I do this. I
Yeah.
just did it because it felt right, it felt relatable. And I was just shocked by the hundreds of comments I was getting from people saying I relate to this. And I was like, oh my gosh, there's like a whole community of people who are neurodivergent that are like around my age who like creative stuff, and that was cool.
Hmm. So yeah, I guess with the makeup, you were able to reach a specific kind of community that
Mhm,
where otherwise you would not have been able to do if you hadn't done something like that. Because
mhm.
it sounds like when you're doing makeup, you do something that is like a part of you. That makes sense.
Yeah, that's why I personally like cosplaying because
Yeah.
I'm not only targeting people who like makeup, because that is a very oversaturated market doing makeup tutorials online. But when you cosplay, you're also targeting the people who are fans of those specific franchises.
Okay.
So, like, example,
So like Overwatch or Sword Art Online.
yeah, pretty much.
I love Asuna.
Like, like, when I did the Wednesday video,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh,
oh boy.
come on, walk us through that.
Okay, that was the most recent video that went viral. That was like 9 million views. That was also
Mm.
the one I got the most hate on.
Hey, haters gonna hate. I mean, when you're going on the top, there's no way around getting everyone to like you.
No.
It's just impossible.
Yeah, and like I find that like the videos of mine that get the most hate are the ones that also like if I get 100 hate comments, I get 1,000 positive ones.
See, okay, here's a weird thing though.
Mhm.
It's easier to take the road off feeling negative because for some reason there's this weird psychology that
Mhm.
I noticed is that even if we have over 100 positive comment,
Mhm.
when we start reading the ones that are so hateful, so negative,
Mhm.
it somehow erases the other 100 positive.
Mhm.
I don't know. It's a weird phenomena that's been happening, and it happens to every one of us, no
Mhm.
matter how big or small we, in terms of fame and followers count. Whenever we get something that's at least one negative comment, it just obliterates all the other positive ones. Has that ever happened to you, or do
Um
you try not to let it happen to you, especially when you go viral?
Honestly, like I okay, to be fair, now for context guys, I'm not that famous. I don't
Mm.
like get recognized in public, so it's really hard for me to like answer that question fully. But just like I don't know, for me, I've kind of always just like taken a step back and been like, okay, well, is 30% of the comments negative? Yes, but like 70% are positive. I had to like do the math in my head. I was
It's
like,
okay. We're pretty tired, but we're good.
but yeah, and like at max, I might have gotten like a little annoyed at the comments, but I
Mhm.
never like took any of them personally.
Mm. Well, how now as a makeup artist,
Mm.
how can one build their personal brand, and what's the
Mm.
best platform to do that?
Ooh, well, it's really just ex- in your own free time before you take a shower, whenever you can, just experiment with different styles. Figure out what you like. Some may prefer doing wedding makeup,
Right.
others may prefer doing special effects, others may prefer doing editorial. Just like play around, see what you like, and eventually you'll start to become more skilled in a certain one of those categories or two of those categories. And also just like start like, posting online, and you kind of it's really there's no perfect formula for social media. Like sure, there's tips and tricks you can do like posting at a certain time, things like that, but really there is no like if you do this, this, and this, you'll go viral. It doesn't matter how many videos you
Yeah.
see saying
But
do that.
I guess I think there's one thing I can definitely say that counters all of that.
Mhm.
There's one that always works, and that's consistency. If you keep making, guys, we've heard this all before. Consistency is key. I'm not gonna talk about this here, but like that's the best way to literally build your audience and to build your brand's reputation, and expertise in the work in the line of work that you do.
Mhm.
For example, I work for a company of mine, and we have a client of ours that's we he does they do YouTube videos, and just an example, we've actually seen the insane growth that they had in producing their videos, and just they started off with 400 subscribers, and now they're up to 1,000. I believe 1,400 subscribers. That's hell of a growth. And you
Mhm.
know what we did? We produce videos on a consistent basis. And so, if we were to apply what they just accomplished with your social media, especially the TikTok and Instagram, all you really have to do is make the content that you like while promoting the products that you also like.
Mhm.
And from there, it's like as long as you keep it consistent, I think you will be able to make it as far as the sky's pretty much the limit. Am I wrong here?
Yo, you're right. And
Yeah,
it doesn't necessarily mean like, oh, you have to post every single day. Because let's be for real, most people are gonna burn out if you're just
true.
starting
That is
out.
true. That is true.
But it's just like it can be consistency of like practicing every other day or planning out content or looking up like ways you can improve in your craft.
Mm.
Just like kind of having a little backlog in your mind of how you can improve, even if it's in small ways, even if it's like something as simple as like, okay, I want to do this makeup look, like at least for me, I want to do this makeup look and film this in like 3 days from now.
Okay.
Yeah, just like kind of like having it like in your mind and just always like, just I don't know, just like always like finding ways that you can grow. Just yeah.
So it's like you can apply this to YouTube too, and to every other platform in which you're trying to build a follower or a brand. I'm gonna eat a strawberry now because I'm now starting to lose my mind. As a makeup artist, what are some of the tips and tricks that you can give to them to apply to their Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is that they're on? What are some of the tips and tricks that you think could help them, that help you too?
Ooh. Okay. Some apps I recommend. I definitely recommend having a feed planner.
Okay.
So like I like to use my feed so I can just plan out my Instagram feed. I like having keeping like little logs either in my notes app or things like Trello of like future looks I want to do. I also recommend Lens Buddy if you want to take photos of yourself but you don't have a photographer yet, or
Mm.
you can just befriend a photographer.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. All right.
But yeah, that's like and I'm trying to remember the rest of the question, just pretty much like how
Mm.
it can like help people like if they're wanting to get started in like
Yeah.
social media, things like that. Oh, also get a ring light. It doesn't have to be an expensive one. It can be like a $20-$30 one from like Walmart or Amazon. But yeah, I think that's a honestly like really like you don't need to have like the super like fanciest equipment out there to get started. And like for a long time, I thought, oh, I have to like have this lighting and this thing before I get started, and that's why I didn't do social media for so many years.
She's calling me out in my own personal, because that's how I feel as filmmaker. We have to have. So the light here, you don't really need to get that. I mean, we have this cheap light over here. It's made by Aperture. It's like hundreds cheaper than the one that's lighting us right now. I'm just saying. Um,
But yeah, oh,
I'm having my the gas syndrome, gear acquisition syndrome. It's real. I'm not crazy. It's real. You can talk to other filmmakers. It's real. But anyways, that actually brings me to a question about not having to buy the best equipment. What about makeup? Because I remember we had this conversation a long back, like long back, what? A long time ago when we were talking about how you don't always have to buy the best makeup products, where the pharmacy already has good quality. That I mean, like the quality has pretty much been able to meet the industry standard quality. Does that make sense?
yeah, it's not like 15 years ago where if you wanted quality makeup, you had to get high end.
Yeah.
Whereas now you could if you wanted to, and sometimes like if you want to splurge on yourself, you can. But makeup has advanced so much, you can get a really good look through Walmart, CVS, all those kinds of places. Cause like example, the average price of like a foundation, for example, if you went to like Sephora, $40. That is for one big
Yeah.
box.
Wow.
Hmm. Whereas if you went someplace like Walmart, CVS, probably like $12. Yeah, that's why I say it's just really think of do your research, research on like what products are actually useful. And I recommend this to like anyone. Like it doesn't have to be like a makeup artist specifically. It should be anyone who uses makeup. Really do your research on what products are you actually realistically gonna use on a daily basis.
Instead of having a drawer filled with 30 to 50 makeup products that you're never
Mm-hmm.
going to touch, other than just to show off that you have this other products. Connection
Absolutely.
made right there.
Yep.
Mm,
Absolutely. Just do your research, see what kind of looks you like, and that's pretty much it, really.
okay. Thank you for telling us that. Now we're going to be diving right into business because as creatives, it's weird because like as creatives, we know what we do best when it comes to creating stuff. But when it comes to business, sometimes some of us falter at the thought of having to do business because sometimes there's this weird psychology thing that goes on in our brain where we deem ourselves not worthy enough to give us the price that we deserve for the work and the hours that you put into becoming better at your craft. So that my good friends out there, we're gonna be diving right into business in makeup industry. Okay, so how do you balance between the creative aspect of makeup artistry with the business side of freelancing? And what advice can you offer to freelancers that are looking to do the same thing?
Yeah, okay, this is like something like I
Money
do.
talk.
I struggle with sometimes because like
Yeah.
okay, we live in like in Floribama, in an area where it's typically retirees
Yeah.
or people who how do I say this? Like to take beach portraits
Okay.
in all white. And typically the kind of makeup they want to get done is like wedding makeup or prom makeup, which I can do. Like I know how to do that. I can nail it. It's just what I personally like. I want to do fun editorial stuff, creative stuff, special effects. Like I want to do a smoky eye and weird color liner, and I want to make it look like someone's eyebrows are bleached, you know?
Hmm.
But that's not what's in demand.
In this
So,
area.
exactly. So I've kind of had to find a right balance of like showing that hey, I can do this kind of look for anyone who wants to hire me, but also like this is the sort of creative direction I want to go in.
So would you say for people that are getting to the makeup industry, especially following the similar path as you,
Hmm.
do you think they should move to a place where they offer a lot of opportunities for that kind of specific creative career in makeup industry?
Hmm.
So like New York, I'm sure they have like high editorial fashion,
Hmm.
but that can complement with makeup. If you went to Los Angeles or Atlanta, or wherever, any places where it's like where make film production is also active, there's also going to be a space for makeup industry. So, do you think people that are starting this career should move to places like those, or can they make it from where they're at? Let's say like where we're at in Florida,
Hmm.
or what about the ones that are in Iowa, but they're really
Hmm.
talented? And what about the ones in places where it's just literally non-existent for
Hmm.
creative opportunities? What do you think they should do, in your opinion?
Hmm. I would, of course, ideally, I'm gonna say if you are in that kind of industry, move, go
Mm,
somewhere where your talents are going to be in demand. But the reason I'm kind of hesitating at that is because the question is for people who are just starting out.
right.
You know what I mean? So I think like best route would be to sort of like try to build connections, build up your skill, and if you're at a point in your career where you're like I'm confident in what I do, I know I'm good, look into going into places like LA or New York.
Well, what about the people that don't necessarily have the means to be able to move? I would imagine the next best option would be to build up your online profile, your followers, and so they can see that you have a personal brand behind makeup, and you can just try to monetize that.
So like me. He's basically being like, Amanda, what are you gonna do right now?
Get sponsors like Halloween costumes.
Yeah.
And oh, we actually have one box out there. Was that the one with the beach bum product?
Oh,
So
Sol
something.
de Janeiro.
There you go. Be like her. But how do you get sponsors like that?
It's really you okay, you build up a following. You gotta have a business email solely separate for social media,
Mm.
just because it's gonna contradict if you have like your like emails from your bank and your healthcare all like coexisting with your stuff from social media. It's very easy to get all mixed up. And really it's just I also sign up for different creator platforms.
Okay.
And I'm not talking about the paid ones. Like I mean you can do that, but I haven't done that. There's websites like Aspire IQ.
Okay.
It's a website that brands use to look for different creators. What you do when you sign up for the platform, you put in what your socials are. The app or website, they review your profile like, okay, you have at least 10,000 and they accept you. And then brands, they'll post campaigns. They'll be like, we're having a campaign about this product. And you just start applying for those kind of like a job. If anything easier than getting than applying for a job, you just put in like your name, your socials, things like that. And that's a way to like kind of get your name out there,
So
really.
people that are starting in makeup industry can take that route.
Yeah.
But it sounds like the caveat to that is you have to have a decent amount of followers.
Yeah, pretty much
Okay.
that. Or you can if you don't have a good following yet, you can start creating content that a brand would like. And what I
Mm.
mean by that is if you take a really good let's say there's a brand who just came out with some lip glosses.
Okay.
You buy those lip glosses from money you have saved up from your day job and you film a really good video like swatching, trying on, tag the brand might notice it.
Okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
A great example of this is actually we did this recently, which was Hot Topic. Even though it's not makeup related, it's actually within the, I guess, her creative interest. It shares similar. It's like a shame. It's like a same world of interest right
Yeah.
there. You know the Hot Topic. We shot a lot of photos, which it's gonna be played about now. And now back from the photos. For the people that are on the podcast episodes, pretty much go ahead describe the product that you chose for Hot Topic.
So I chose a couple different clothing items from Hot Topic just because like although I mainly post about makeup, I also post about cosplay, which
Mm,
consists of clothing.
right.
So there is like a little bit of overlap. So I posted like some clothing items I like from Hot Topic. I ended up tagging them. I put like on Instagram there's like a feature where you can tag the specific
Yeah.
products that are used and they ended up posting it on their socials that got like a couple thousand likes.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
was a creative, kind of a photo. It's not like the one that I just shot of her. She actually took the time to print it out and cut it out and
Mhm.
add like real objects like paper clips, what
Mhm.
ribbons. What else did
Yeah.
you put? Oh no, you put doodles. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a fun process to watch you create that. How did it feel knowing that you made that and then you made it all the way to Hot
It
Topic?
was I'm just thinking back to when I was like 10 years old
What?
and
Okay.
I here
Flashback time, I
listen,
guess.
flashback time to
Sure.
imagine little Amanda with very terrible bangs. I looked like Dora the Explorer basically.
Whoa.
But
So bros here. Okay.
but yeah, I'm just picturing myself when I was like 9, 10 years old and I'm at the mall with my parents and I see a Hot Topic and I'm like, "Mom, Dad, can I please go to Hot Topic?" And keep it and Hot Topic was different back in the day.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It was darker and scarier. So of course my parents, they saw that and they're like, you go ahead. 10 minutes max." And I like well this like little tiny child would just like look at
Just
the
like the
store and
world
I just
that was introduced to you in Hot Topic. So emo, so
I
black, it's so dark, so moody. What about the
I
hot topic now?
it's
It's PG-13.
yeah, it's kind of like it's like an edgy Disney store. No offense to
Okay.
Hot Topic. Like, listen, Hot Topic, I love you. I use a lot of your items, but this is I'm just being for real right now. It's like a little like it's like a store for like millennial emo kids and like
Yeah.
people, Disney adults, which it caters to me as well. But yeah,
Well, there you go. That's a bit of a history within her upcoming into
yeah,
Hot Topic, and it
mhm.
bridges the gap between her interests in sponsorships and makeup.
Seeing a store or a brand that I loved going to as a child and throughout my teen years. And like, when you're a kid, you don't have as much money. So you're like saving up a bunch to get that one little thing
Yeah.
to just get sent free product by that brand as an adult and then get used for promotional material. It's like a whole full circle moment.
What factors do you consider when you set your rates, such as your experiences, the scope of work, and the type of client that you're working with? Can you share any advice on negotiating your rates for fair compensation when working with brands, clients, and especially in an industry where many rates can vary so widely? No, you may begin.
Oh boy. Okay. Okay, I'm going to do two parts.
Okay.
Part one is going to be from a social media perspective. You're
Okay.
working with brands. Part two is if you're a makeup artist or any sort of like contractor working with potential clients.
Okay.
Part one, I mean, they're both kind of similar in a sense to like you kind of have to stand your ground on your pricing, which I know it can be like difficult at times because like sometimes I'll get an email from a brand and they're like, "Hey, we'll send you this product. All you have to do is just post it." And I'm like, "But what do I get?" "You get this free product." And I'm like,
Okay.
"But I can't pay rent with a product."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of like you have to take into consideration the time you put into editing, making the content. You can do a bit of research and find out what people who have a similar number of following to you are charging. And it's really just like being in your emails, just being polite and just being like, "Hey, I would love to work with you guys. However, in order for me to create the most like optimized content at a high level, I would need to be compensated, you know?"
Yeah, I could definitely agree with that because there are cases where doing something for free can be beneficial,
Mhm.
but most other times it's not. It's usually not as beneficial as you might think. Now, again, this is just for film. We do spec ads. We do basically fake commercials just for free in hopes of getting the brand's attention. But we know as filmmakers, we want to be compensated for the work that we do, especially the number of hours that it takes to create one product video, or not just product video, music video, any creative works. Really, to be honest, it's like we need to be compensated for that time, and especially the knowledge that we built up over the years. We deserve to be compensated for that too, as well, and that applies to makeup artists too. And so, with that being said, how would you normally price your work?
Yeah, I go based off of the sort of content they want me to make. So
Yeah.
do they want me to post just an image on my feed or do they want me to post an image on my story? Or do they want me to make a TikTok video?
Yeah.
How many specifications are in the video? Because sometimes they'll have you a certain script that they want you to say. How much time do I spend editing?
Yeah.
Things like that. Yeah, and yeah, it's like you said, like with film, there's gonna be so many people who are like, "Oh well, but like you don't have to do that much work. Can't you like make it a little bit cheaper?" And I'm like, but it's like with you and your videos, you have to literally plan out the video scene by scene,
Yeah.
the location, the lighting, the sound, the angles. It's like that whenever you're working with any sort of contractor, you're hiring them because they're skilled.
This will be helpful for people that are starting out because sometimes there is this thing where most creatives, or at least there will be other big influencers, whatever. Not trying to call you out, but we tend to have this habit of gatekeeping. I think it's time to stop doing that. I think it's time to help each other out
Mhm.
and and help each other grow to the fullest potential that they can be. But that's not going to happen if we keep gatekeeping.
Mhm.
So I think again, the purpose of this hidden record thing is like to help provide knowledgeable and applicable information to your career,
Mhm.
and so that's why we're trying to do this. So
Ah,
how
okay.
how much would you price for a work? Let's start with like what you do
Mm.
wedding makeup. How much would you charge for that?
Oh girl, I'm gonna that's a whole there's so many there are so many packages to this because there's different factors. Like some people, the bride, she may be the only one that wants to do her makeup.
Yeah.
Whereas other people, they might want to have their makeup done and have their bridesmaids makeup done.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's okay. So, if it was like an intimate bridal package, I would typically charge like 250, if that does not, and that keep in mind that does not include the initial booking fee and travel.
Okay.
That's just like one bride alone. However, if I'm doing something that's a bit standard, like a bride and three bridesmaids, that would typically be $550. Again, excluding travel fees,
Right.
booking fees, things like that. But yeah, it can go up to like $1,000 just depending on
Okay. Okay. Especially, I would imagine that has a lot to do with the number of people too, because
hmm
it's not like you just do one makeup and you're done.
yeah,
You have to apply makeup to a lot of people.
that's why I kind of like hesitated with answering that question because it really just depends on, am I just doing the bride's makeup or am I
Yeah.
also doing the bridesmaids? Am I also doing the flower girl? And I don't know if you know this, but when you're doing bridal makeup, you have to do a practice round. So you have to meet up with the bride, typically maybe like 2 weeks before,
Yeah.
do a makeup look on them, see like do they like it? Is there anything they would change about it? And then do their makeup again on the wedding day.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
hmm
Wow. Wow. I actually did not know that.
Yeah, because it's not because like sometimes like a bride may have a certain image in mind, certain picture they see, but they don't realize that it's a lot of makeup.
Okay.
And then they get done and they're like, oh, I don't like that. And they'll be like, okay, can you like do this and this instead for the
Right.
actual day?
Do you think for the people that are starting out the makeup industry, do you think they should start out hourly or project based?
Mm, okay, I would say like the hourly thing, it's not a bad rate to do.
Yeah.
However, I would like always like be open to like adjustments
Yeah.
just because there's a difference between like doing like a natural look versus if you're full blown painting someone. If you're just starting out, you gotta do like at minimum $90 per face. And
Mhm.
that's like just if you're just starting out. That doesn't include like, okay, so like for me, if someone's wanting to book me, I always make sure they do like that they put in an initial deposit just because like it kind of puts up this like stance of like, hey, this is serious. If you're gonna book me, I don't want to like wait until like the day of for you to actually pay me. So I'll typically, depending on how far away the person is, if it's like 30 minutes or an hour, I might do like a $50 booking fee. Again,
Mhm.
just depends on like what the travel is, just to like cover for
I
gas.
see.
Yeah.
Okay. What about the part two of
Mm.
that part one, part two of pricing your work?
Mm. I would say like with freelancing, it's pretty similar to the social media,
Yeah.
but in a sense that like again, like you know how brands they go up to these influencers because they want something out of them. They see value in them. So if you're seeing value in a contractor, why pay them some below their actual value. And it's the same way with doing freelance makeup. I guess okay, when you are now with either social media or working with a client, you don't want to negotiate too much. And what I mean by that is, I'm not saying you shouldn't negotiate at all. However, I have noticed with makeup clients, if they're like, oh, I don't really have much, can I just pay you like 70 instead? Subconsciously it kind of puts in their brain of, okay, since they accepted the negotiated price, that means I don't have to put as much effort in communicating with
Right.
them. So I can change the date last minute, I can change the look last minute,
Yeah.
I can I don't have to talk to them that much, I don't have to communicate with them that much. I don't know what it is, but I just notice that tends to happen. So at the end of the day, if you're talking to a client and like you're it's been a bit of a slow season for you and they're like, "Oh, I would love to, but like can we please do like $60 or something?" I know it's tempting to negotiate it, especially if you're just starting out, but you got to be firm even if it means losing a client or two.
Mm.
You got to be like, "Listen, I want to help you. However, I know my skill level. I know what I deserve to be compensated. I just can't accept it."
Mm.
Mhm.
You gotta be okay. You gotta learn how to be okay with just saying no.
Yep.
Because there will be a lot of lowballing clients that are willing to do whatever they can to get the lowest price out of you. And it's like what she said, stand firm on your price and your worth. Because once you give way to what they're demanding from you, you're kind of you're kind of making your work less valuable than when you make it than how you make it appear to be. It's and starting out when we get those first few clients, we always want to keep the new ones, and that's perfectly okay. We want to keep our business running, but at some point you're going to hit the next level in which you're going to have to consider dropping those same clients to make room for better ones. And always stick to the prices, and because you're not supposed to go down on your price for some other client. Your prices are supposed to go up as your skills develop, and as you develop your skills, so will the quality of your clients that you will come across in your career. So again, stand firm and never ever 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 put a sacrifice on your price. So I guess in that sense, have a price where you're kind of it's like a non-regrettable price. It's like a minimum price that you're happy with getting paid for. And then you have the ideal price that you want to be paid for. And I would recommend at least maybe 30 to 20% of the if you're okay, let's for example, if you're thinking of 1,500 for film, for video, for music video, whatever. Let's just use this as a theoretical exercise. If we're going to start with 1,500, if you think you're gonna be okay with that, then try to aim a little bit higher so that use 1,500 as a safety net. It's a price that you're okay with no matter what. Now charge maybe 2,500, 2,800, whatever. And then it's basically price anchoring. When you when you're able to when you're able to give two prices to the client, you're giving yourself a buffer between the minimum price and the highest price. And no matter what the amount is, when you go down as you get closer to the minimum, you're still going to be able to walk away happy knowing that you got the price now until you get to the minimum. So make sure to give a buffer in your pricing package when it comes to not just film but also makeup. Always work with the price that you're happy with and never ever give in to any client. And if they don't like what you're asking from them, drop them. There can only be one. There can only be one person with the specific skill set that you offer. There's only one of you, but there's a million of other clients that want to work with you. So keep that in mind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Thank you for using that wording. That was like the wording I was trying to find
Mm.
earlier. Buffer. Think of, okay, this is like the min. Now, keep in mind, you're not going to tell them this. When you're doing a negotiation, do not tell them what you want, okay? Do not tell them what the bare minimum is because you're going to try to go lower than that. In your mind, think of, okay, this is the bare minimum I would accept, and this is the ideal. Because, like, so let's say, for example, I have a client and I want to make $120 off of that client. Well, you also have to take into consideration my time, because what if it takes me an hour to drive there? I have to be at that shoot for 2 hours, and then I have to another hour to drive back. That's 4 hours, plus another hour of packing up.
Yeah.
Actually, 2 hours, I think so, 6 hours in total. Because you're also taking into consideration I'm cleaning my supplies,
Yeah.
I'm preparing, I'm getting ready to go over there. I'm probably gonna want to charge like 140, 150 instead if I want to cover for gas and time, because you have to keep in mind that's that 1 hour, 2 hours of work, that's actually 6 hours of
Damn.
driving, preparing, and taking time away from other clients and just really like your day to day life. You're paying for my time to do a skill for you that you wouldn't be able to do yourself.
Yeah. And in time and in practice, you will get better at pricing out your work, especially because it's really scary to say the number that you want to say. We all have this voice in our heads like, oh, it's a little bit too much. Just lower it down, bro. In time, you're gonna be so good at pricing out your work to a point where whatever number that they throw out, you will not flinch. But just remember, be patient with yourself and be patient with your progress, and you will get to the level where you're happy with, and especially being able to price out the number that you're always able to get from whatever client that you're going to come across. Contracts. It's the one of those. That's one of the most important things that we should always have when it comes to negotiating with clients. Contracts basically it applies to just film and also makeup industry, any creative work that you do. You should always have a contract because one, you should be able to protect yourself and be able to have the ability to show off your work because the services that you're providing to a client, it may often come across as their product and that they have all of the rights to do whatever they wish with that product. Contracts is the best way to do that, especially for your services. And in each contract, you should have a lot of clauses that protect you. For example, in film, we have a revision clause that basically protects me in post production, where I give a limited number of revisions that I can give to the client when it comes to re-editing their video. I can give them one or two, and then beyond that, I charge them maybe $250 to $500 per edit. Yes, it takes a lot of time to change something based on the client's request. So revision clause. We also have we also have the forced demature. I am butchering that word. It's basically protecting yourself that in any situation where you are prevented to be able to do the work that you are hired to do by the client. Let's say a tornado, a thunderstorm, things like that, you are going to be protecting yourself by having that clause. Now, that's enough about on the film side. There are so many things that you should consider having in your clause, but now we're going to be going over the other side of makeup industry. So, contracts. What do you think? What do you put in yours, and why do you think having contracts and makeup as a makeup artist is so important? Because not a lot of people think about that,
Mm-hmm.
especially when they're
Yeah,
getting into this.
there's that, and there's also the contracts you have when you do social media.
Mm.
Because when you do post content, you have to have an agreement that you're getting paid a certain amount, and there's also usage rights.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You have to keep that in mind. It's like what we talked about with pricing earlier. It's another thing to take into consideration when you do your pricing, because there's a difference in pricing if a company has usage rights for 30 days versus 120 days.
Yeah.
And there's like a whole other level to it. Sometimes, like what brands will do, they'll pay extra to add traffic to your video
Mm.
to get extra views.
Right.
So there's things like that. Oh my gosh, I'm about to pull out my contract for you guys. Oh my
Oh, here
gosh.
we go.
If you're a contractor, if you're doing any kind of service for them, have a contract, take a contracting course, do some reading, please protect yourself, because people will sue you for anything nowadays.
There's bad clients out there. They
Yep.
they really do exist.
Mhm.
So you don't want to be in that situation ever.
Mhm. Plus, it's just like, it in a way, it sorta makes people take you more seriously or, like,
Yes.
just be like, "Okay, I" it's kinda like what I mentioned earlier about having a initial deposit, like a travel fee like that, like, if you have the client pay you a certain amount and sign a contract, it's like, "Okay, I'm, like, locked in, I gotta be here at this date, this time, and, like, be prepared," and, like
So it sounds like with your on top of your creative process, you negotiate the price and then you write out the contracts
Mhm.
and you wait for them to sign and then you just go from there until the day of
Yeah.
when you render your services to them.
Yeah,
Basically,
yeah.
yeah.
For anyone who hires me for anything, I will not show up to whatever event you need me to until you send me the money that I request for the travel fee, for planning, and you sign the contract. That is just like that's like bare minimum for me, like
And it's also good. It's also good to have boundaries because sometimes there will be projects where we're so willingly to give away our time for what
Mhm.
when we should be paid for. Now, again, this may not apply to when you're starting out because oftentimes we have to take free jobs, but in most cases, as you get up there, keep those things in mind as you get better and as you build your clientele. Those are important things to consider. So
Yeah.
let's talk about your contract. Here we
Yeah. Oh,
go.
and speaking of the passion
Yes.
projects, that is something I do want to touch on
Oh,
after
okay.
this.
Yeah.
But so like in my contracts, I have project dates and details. So like date, time, location, because the thing that goes into pricing is like location, like how far am I gonna have to drive to get there. I also put the client's contact information. I ask them to put that down. And so if I'm getting hired by like a photographer to do a couple different models makeup, I'm like, okay, you have to tell me how many models exactly are going to be at the shoot that I need to do makeup on. Because I've had an occasion where someone will be like, oh, there's three, but then there's four, and they're like, oh, can we just squeeze an extra person in? That's not what I agreed to, girl. You know what I mean? And it's also allergies.
Mm.
A lot of
Really?
yeah, a lot of people
Allergies?
have a lot of people have skin sensitivity. They have eczema, which is things I have to take into consideration with what products I'm bringing.
Oh, so breakout types, that kind of thing.
Yeah, because I don't want like someone to like sue me because I my products might have made them break out.
Mm.
Yeah.
Tip right there. That's a tip right there.
So like when you put in the contract, like if the client puts in, hey, I have this type of allergy or I don't want this specific product being used on me, it kind of solidifies that like, hey, the person disclosed that this is what not to use. If I don't use that, they can't sue me basically.
Okay, so
Like
it's protecting yourself because of
yeah.
health issues.
Mhm.
That's even more something to consider.
Yeah,
You don't want
like
to damage your reputation by killing your clients.
yeah, like a common
Yeah.
one is latex. A lot of people have a latex allergy or
Mm.
sensitivity. It's what's okay, you see my eyelashes?
Yeah.
Typically eyelash glue has latex in it and that's kind of like what adheres it. A lot of people have a sensitivity to that, which is why I use latex-free eyelash glue. It's things like that.
Mm,
But
okay.
as far as like other stuff, I also I put in if things like if the client is 20 minutes, 30 minutes late, you're going to have to pay an extra fee if you do not show up at the agreed time because what if I have a client after that? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. That's definitely important.
Mhm. Also have a contingency plan in case things like hurricane or like if I have a family emergency, I get sick, things like that.
That's almost the equivalent
Mhm.
to force de majeure. Still butchering that word, but
Yeah, basically like what you do with film.
yes.
Yeah, there's also photo permission and intellectual
Oh,
property.
okay. There we go.
I make sure I have a section in my contract where I the person can put down I give you permission to use my image for promotional purposes or I do not give you permission to do that. So like if a person says yes, they agree to like I can post them on my socials their pictures on like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I can put them on my website. Things like that. Because that's consent is a very important thing, ladies and gentlemen.
So you get photographers
Mhm.
permission, but also I would imagine the model too.
Yeah, that's exactly
Yeah.
that's who it is.
Mm.
Yeah, so like if I'm working with one individual person, the person who's signing the contract is doing that. But if it's a photographer that's hiring me, I also have to bring copies um to the models themselves when it comes to like allergies or if I have their permission to like film them and things like that.
Mm. Okay. Is there any
Yeah.
other clauses that we need to know, or
I'm
that we
trying
don't have? We're not really gonna go through all of it, but it's just some of the general basic things that you need to have in your contract as a makeup artist.
to
So,
yeah.
anything
I
else they
think
need to know about,
only
or we're good?
I think only other thing is I have a client responsibility section,
Oh, that's interesting.
which I think it can kind of overlap with you as well.
Okay.
So it basically says the client is responsible to be ready to have their makeup and hair done, so their face has to be washed and it has to be at a location where there's a chair, there's a restroom, there's proper lighting. If it's like a long day, if it's like a long shoot day that's multiple hours, I have like in my contract that like I need to make sure I'm given sufficient enough time where I can take a bathroom break,
Yeah.
where I can have a lunch break. Is there going to be catering? Especially like if it's like only like one client and it's like what 1 to 2 hours, like I'm not expecting people to like
Yeah.
feed me a whole meal.
Yeah.
However, if it's going to be multiple hours, multiple models, I'm gonna want like maybe like a low like takeout option, you know what I mean, or a chance to like stretch around stuff like that. Because sometimes I'll have photographers who like hire me to do multiple models. They'll like be like, oh, I only need you to be here for like 3 hours,
Yeah.
but it's like I gotta do the models back to back to back to back,
Yeah.
and I don't get a bathroom break. I don't get a chance to like eat anything, and I'm like pissed after that because it's
Maybe consider getting a assistant. Like a makeup assistant. See, you have other options out there to
Mhm.
alleviate that problem. But yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
Cool. Was that everything we need about contracts?
Everything regarding contracts, yes.
Okay, now we're in our closing remarks. Let's talk about your future and let's talk about the goals that you see yourself having from this point forward.
Mhm.
And then within like a year or two.
I would love to have more clientele,
Yeah,
to be able to have clients like every week. That would be incredible.
yeah,
To advance my skill, possibly go to makeup school or esthetician school, and potentially like in the future be able to like live in my own little like studio apartment where I can be able to take on more clients, do more creative projects, which also brings me to a point I was going to bring up earlier, passion projects. Yeah, it's what I say for anyone who wants to work with me or collaborate with me. So you know how we mentioned pricing
yeah,
and how you know at the end of the day you shouldn't like negotiate too much just because it's going to make the client have negotiated terms in their head of like, oh, I can just show up late or
yeah,
whatever. What I always say for anyone who wants to work with me, I would rather work with someone who doesn't pay me at all, but they're organized, they have a great work ethic, they have a whole solid plan, and like we have similar creative visions than someone who tries to give me a negotiated price. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
It's like it's an all or nothing.
yeah,
It's like sometimes like I'll work with like a model or like photographer, but if they have a great like vision in mind, if they're organized, if they have things well thought out, chances are I'll work with you. I'd
okay.
rather do that than take a client who is like, oh yeah, I'll pay you, but it might only be $70. Cause like
I mean, then, passion project should also be taken with caution because sometimes
absolutely,
there will be clients that will say, hey, I got a passion project. You want to do it?
hey, can you?
They probably use it as a disguise to get your services because
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty much what people can do if they
Absolutely.
want to get yours, especially when you're so good at what you do.
It's about setting boundaries.
Yes, boundaries is always important. I don't know. For me, I would rather get paid to do a passion project. Or passion project could be something like, it's a shared interest, just like what she said,
Yeah.
to create something beautiful. But it should be taken with a grain of salt in the sense that as long as it helps your career and not just something that might waste everybody's
Mhm.
time, just do your research.
Absolutely. That's why I always say, like, look, I love a passion project, and I'm always like, if it's like someone I genuinely think I'm gonna work well with, I'll consider it. But at the end of the day, the thing that's gonna rank at the top of the list, it's gonna be the paid clients.
Yes.
It's gonna be the clients who are like, hey, you're really skilled. I want your services. I will pay you the price you ask for, or something very close.
The ones that value you the
Mhm.
most.
I'll pay your travel fee.
Yes.
And even better, if if you have gratuity, if you tip me, even better, I will very likely, if you hit me up again and you previously tipped me, I'll probably like put you at a higher priority than someone who hasn't.
Oh,
Just
look at
saying.
that. Look at that.
Cuz
Yeah.
it's like if you're going to a restaurant and you have a waiter, or if you're getting your hair cut,
Yeah.
they're doing a service for you, and it would not be very nice if you didn't tip them at all.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with a makeup artist. It's a little thing like doing that, or like recommending me to your friends, your family. It goes a long way.
I mean, that can be the same thing for tattoo artists. That it applies to
Mm-hmm.
tattoo artists too.
Yeah,
The price
absolutely.
that you're paying them for, it's not really going to your pocket. It actually is just a small part of their
Mm-hmm.
income. They actually depend on the gratuity and the
Mm-hmm.
tips that you give them after the total price amount of your
Mm-hmm.
tattoo.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
you know, that's something you should consider. In film, we typically mark up our project because that's also where some of our income comes in, because the other budget is also for making the production happen.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, just just make sure that you're giving
Mm-hmm.
enough of what you think is worth for the services that you're asking for from them,
Yeah.
because they will really appreciate that.
Yeah, cuz like I imagine like with you, at least for me, when I do my pricing, in my head I'm thinking, okay, what is a price I'm comfortable with that I would be happy with if theoretically the person didn't tip me?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to like rely on that gratuity. However, it is very nice, but
Yeah. Pricing is important. And passion projects, it's it's a great way to build your portfolio, but it's also a cautionary tale, because be you don't want to have your time be wasted on something that never was going to be turned out as good as you thought it would be.
absolutely.
Always work with someone who's organized and as passionate as you are, because I think that oftentimes that can lead to a result
Mhm.
that's so much better, and you can build your relationship with that person, all of that
Mhm.
stuff. So all I
Work.
can say is just watch out, just prepare, research, and just do that kind of stuff, and you're gonna be okay in the end.
Yeah, work with people who
Yes.
respect your time and what you have to offer.
Yes.
Because I don't want, I've had this happen to me before, like when I very, very first started,
Yeah.
where I would do a passion project and it would be like a 5 hour thing. And I'd come home and I'd be like,
And you're just tired. You're just tired out,
you know what
bro.
I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just,
Yeah.
yeah, it just really just, find your crowd, find people who,
Find your tribe.
absolutely.
And speaking of finding the tribe, it's time to find our closing remarks. So, future goals. What are some of the goals, and what are some the last tips that you can give to the audience here? And any last words that you would like to give to everyone watching and listening to this video and podcast?
Future goals. I would love to be able to look back or listen back to this podcast
Yeah.
years from now and to be like, oh, Amanda, if only you knew that you worked on this movie,
Yeah.
or you were the makeup artist for
Yeah.
this magazine cover, to live in a little studio where I can invite clients over, invite people over. That's the goal, to be able to really, I don't know. They're just I would just love to get to a point where I can look at the big screen and see my work, or like look at
Oh,
magazines, see my
yeah,
work.
yeah.
All I can really so for anyone that's watching that wants to get into this kind of stuff, any creative industry, a lot of these tips that we said, it can be applied to a lot of people, photographers, videographers, artists, anyone who has a service and is trying to get into a certain industry. Just really just keep doing what you're doing, set boundaries, build up your craft, and find your tribe. Yeah, I think that's a good closing note for us.
Wow. Well, that has been it for Hit Record Creative Spotlight with Amanda Marie. You can always find her at Instagram at Amanda MUAA.
Yeah, okay, so
No
fun fact, you
period. The
guys.
Amanda MUAA.
Yeah,
Did I get that right?
you did. I have two. Okay, so I have two Instagrams. I have my main page, and then I have where you can strictly see my clientele. If you like want to hire me as a makeup artist, that's the page you go to. My main page is Manda period Marie with a four. You'll see that right here. That's also my TikTok. If you want to see what my clientele is and just like if you want to see like all my makeup looks like all in one page, you look up Amanda MUA with two A's at the end.
Ooh, okay. And you have a website, right? What's the
Yes,
website?
AmandaMUA.com. It's a
We'll
Wix
put on
site.
a.
It's a Wix site, and I don't have the subscription for it, so it's
Okay.
long.
It's we'll throw it up on the text here, and the link to that will be in the description in the podcast episode and YouTube.
Yeah,
So we got you
absolutely.
covered, y'all. We got you covered.
Got it.
So that has been it for Hidden Record, Creative Spotlight with Amanda Marie. Like I said again, the first time around, and we hope you enjoyed the content here. We hope that we provided enough insightful and applicable tips and tricks on being on your journey as a makeup artist. Now, for the next coming episode, I don't know who's gonna be the person that I'll be interviewing, but whoever that is, we hope to see you there. And don't forget to like and subscribe this YouTube channel and also on podcast. Don't forget to add it to your list because we'll be right there providing 100% quality, high quality content. So, with that being said, my name is Keenan Manuel, the owner of Hidden Record, and
Amanda MUA.
this is it. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.